One of the most common mistakes I see in wedding videographers, especially when they're starting out, isn't what you think it is. A lot of times people put a lot of their time, focus, effort, and money into the gear they need, advertising, or even just getting excited about the prospect of filming and creating something. And all that's great. You know, everybody has to do that when you start. You need to buy gear, you need to advertise, especially when you start, and it is exciting. It's an exciting thing to tell the story of a bride and groom getting married. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but what happens is people neglect the more important stuff. And so what is the more important stuff? I've talked a lot about what I call the cinematic trinity, and that's the combination of framing, lighting, and exposure to create what I would say is a cinematic shot. When I say, oh wow, that's so cinematic, usually it means you nailed exposure, you nailed framing, and you nailed lighting. A lot of times people pick up framing okay, people pick up lighting when they get interested in it, but a lot of people neglect exposure. They don't stop and think, how can I best set my camera up to capture the light that's coming into it? How do the settings on my camera interact with one another and change what my image looks like? What do I do when I'm filming the bride against a bright sky and the sky's all blown out? How do I decide what to expose for? What do I do when I'm in a low light situation like a dark reception hall and I need to see my subjects a little bit better? These are all great questions. These are things that you're going to run into as a wedding videographer. I guarantee it. And while this video isn't necessarily about how to expose your camera, what I do want to do is plant this idea in your mind that you need to master the controls of your camera when it comes to exposure. You absolutely need to know what changes when you adjust your aperture, what changes when you adjust your ISO, why you should probably almost never change your shutter speed. The challenge specific to event videography, like wedding videography, is that you're just constantly on the move. You don't have time to stop and say, hang on, can we block this light? Can I set up this light really quick? There's a lot going on throughout the day. You're trying to stay on a timeline. So learning to master exposure and to be able to almost change the settings on your camera without even thinking about it is one of the best things you can do as a new wedding videographer. I guarantee you it will set you apart. You know, I look for second shooters all the time. One of the things I see most in newer second shooters is they just overexpose their footage. And if you know anything about overexposed footage, basically you lose all the data in the highlights. So you lose detail in the sky. Your color correction is going to be much harder. There's a very, very distinct difference between overexposed footage, properly exposed footage, and underexposed footage. And people ask me all the time on Instagram, how do you get your image to look so clean? What are your export settings? What settings do you have when you're uploading to Instagram and TikTok to get your videos to be so clear? And I'm not really doing anything special other than exposing my footage properly. I think of it like I'm optimizing the eyeball that's in my camera. I want my camera to see as much as it possibly can, and I need to tune the settings of my camera to help it. As you get good at exposing your image on the fly, there's so many benefits that come with it. Obviously, your footage looks amazing, but also when you go to edit your videos in your editor, it's gonna be so much easier to color grade your footage because it's properly balanced and well exposed. And honestly, one of the biggest lifts you'll get is setting your footage apart from beginners. While a viewer might not know what overexposed footage is, almost every person can tell when something just doesn't look right with your footage. You could have a Sony FX30 and FX3, you could have super nice lenses on it, and if you overexpose your footage, it'll look worse than if you were filming with your iPhone. So this short video is hopefully planting a seed in your mind to go on Google, go on YouTube, type how to properly expose for a Sony FX30, that's what I'm filming on right now. Or maybe to look into tools that you can use to master your exposure. I personally love false color, I use waveform, and I use histogram. Mostly I use false color to make sure that I'm nailing my exposure. I promise you, if you learn how to expose your footage properly, you're going to leapfrog people, you're going to pass by beginners, your footage is going to look so much better than you ever thought it could, and you'll realize like, oh, it wasn't the camera, it wasn't the lens, it wasn't the gear I had, it was me. I needed to learn how to expose. I needed to learn how to use my gear before I just went and spent another $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 on more gear, because gear does not make bad footage look good. I hope right after this video that you're typing in the YouTube search bar how to expose the Sony FX30, Sony FX3, whatever you're filming on. It's just another way to get better as a wedding videographer. I'll see you in the next video.